Hey everyone, welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Updates, where we keep you informed on the latest developments and insights surrounding the IQD and other currencies connected to the global financial landscape. Today, we're going to dive into something that's been generating a lot of buzz in the community, and that's the growing belief that we may see a rate change in the Iraqi dinar much sooner than we'll see one with the Vietnamese Dong. Now, I know both of these currencies have been discussed for years among investors and currency watchers, but the two are on very different paths right now, and that matters more than ever. So let's break this down in plain terms. First off, Iraq is in a significantly different position than Vietnam when it comes to economic transformation and international involvement. Iraq is sitting on one of the largest reserves of oil in the world. That's a powerful resource. But more than just having oil, Iraq is actively working to modernize its financial systems, integrate with global banking standards, and crack down on corruption in a way that's really catching attention. Over the last year, we've seen the Central Bank of Iraq take serious steps towards strengthening its currency infrastructure. We're talking about digitizing payments, modernizing banking operations, and even rolling out new training programs for financial institutions. These moves aren't just for show, they're required if Iraq is going to move away from the artificial program rate and establish a more realistic and internationally recognized value for the dinar. Now contrast that with what's going on in Vietnam. Yes, Vietnam has a growing manufacturing base. Yes, it's become a popular alternative to China for foreign investment. But the Vietnamese Dong is heavily controlled by its government, and it's been deliberately kept undervalued to maintain export advantages. There's very little incentive, at least right now, for Vietnam to make any drastic revaluation moves. Their economy is relatively stable under the current system, and the central bank there is far more conservative when it comes to exchange rate policy. In other words, Vietnam isn't under the same kind of pressure or momentum for a rate change. Iraq, on the other hand, is actively being pushed forward both internally and externally. International organizations like the IMF and World Bank have been very involved in helping Iraq develop economic reforms. US and European banks have been paying attention to Iraq's financial tightening and anti-money laundering efforts. These are not minor developments. This is the groundwork that needs to be laid before any major currency shift can happen. And if you've been paying attention to recent Iraqi news, you'll notice increased chatter about economic sovereignty. The Iraqi government wants to move away from relying so heavily on the US dollar. That alone is a huge motivator. And to do that successfully, they need a stable and strengthened dinar. You don't move away from the dollar unless you've built something stable enough to stand on its own. Then there's the geopolitical side. Iraq's role in the region is changing. They're getting stronger diplomatically, rebuilding infrastructure, and stabilizing security. This creates the conditions necessary for a serious currency realignment. If you combine that with the central bank's tightening of the money supply and cleaning up the black market currency flows, what you get is a country preparing to shift its monetary footing. Now, we're not saying this will happen overnight. But if you're looking at indicators, economic, structural, and political, Iraq is checking more boxes for readiness than Vietnam is right now. We believe a revaluation of the Iraqi dinar is far more likely in the short to medium term than any significant movement with the Vietnamese Dong. And let's be honest here, Vietnam doesn't want a rapid depreciation of its currency. It would hurt its exports and foreign investment flow. Iraq, on the other hand, is dealing with a different kind of challenge. They need to build public trust, stabilize prices, and protect purchasing power. A change in the exchange rate can help accomplish all those things if it's done carefully and strategically. Of course, there are no guarantees. We're all watching a complex web of economics and politics play out. But when we compare both situations side by side, the momentum clearly seems to be with Iraq right now. So if you're following this space and trying to gauge what might happen, first the IQD RV, we're firmly leaning toward the Iraqi dinar as the front runner. There's just more happening, and it's happening faster and with greater urgency. We'll keep tracking every development, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. The situation is moving, and we'll be here to break it down every step of the way. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Updates, your trusted source for smart, balanced, and real-world currency insight. Until next time, stay informed, stay patient, and stay optimistic.